And I went from owning 0 rental properties and knowing nothing about real estate to, owning 25 in a year, quitting my job, and really sharing all of that through Instagram. So originally I got started investing in 2020 during the pandemic, and it changed a lot of people's lives and it changed mine. I was graduating college and I was going into a commission-based job in commercial real estate, and that's when I was really uncertain. Nobody was leasing office space at the time. I decided to build some passive income for myself by buying rental properties, and I didn't realize that it would change my entire life. And I went from owning 0 rental properties and knowing nothing about real estate to, owning 25 in a year, quitting my job, and really sharing all of that through Instagram. During the pandemic, everybody was looking for connection. They were looking for community, and so was I. And so as I kind of documented the whole journey, everybody was just wondering, like, how did you do it? I was just a normal person, no one special, don't come from a family with money or a bunch of real estate investor family members. And so I think I was just, representative of a lot of people, and they kind of saw themselves in me and wanted to know if I could do it, how could they do it? And so I was always, willing to share the things I learned along the way. I'm still learning, still growing, still buying rental properties, but I'm really thankful that I've kind of had the platform to kind of get back and share with people how they can also buy their first rental properties. I think what for me, it was like the tangible aspect of it. So, when thinking about different investment options, you think about, stocks, which a lot of people end up investing in because they don't, maybe it's just the thing that everyone does, but it is very intangible. For me, I was like, I just didn't understand why do they go up? Why do they go down? It just seems all random, so emotional. I can't call the CEO and ask them why, stocks are going up or down. But with real estate, you can touch it, you can feel it, and it makes sense. You can control it. And so from that sort of standpoint, that's kind of why I gravitated toward investing in real estate. Find a good community of other investors to kind of share resources with, because it is very overwhelming at first. You need an attorney, you need an insurance agent, you need a lender, you need so many people. And sometimes it feels like searching like in a hay bale, a haystack to find like what's the saying? Finding a needle in a haystack to find the right people. And so if you're in a good community and you're kind of talking to other investors and you're able to say, like, hey, from experience, like I use Steadily, I recommend them. And so it's kind of helps cut through all of the other, people who you could potentially try. It saves a lot of trial and error when you're able to get recommendations from people who have been through it. Yeah, such a good question. So I'm based in the Bay Area, California, and homes out here are, $1 million plus for just a little tiny shoebox. And so when I was getting started, I was 22 and I just didn't have any money, or I didn't qualify to invest here locally. So I had to start looking out of state in more affordable markets. So I had a friend who I met through work, actually, and he mentioned casually that he had a couple rental properties, and he was based in Cincinnati, Ohio. And so when I was kind of thinking, racking my head, like, where could I possibly invest? Because I just can't invest in my own backyard. I thought about how affordable his rental properties were. They were $100,000. They were cash flowing. And so I called him up and asked him to kind of show me through the market and introduce me to different realtors, agents, contractors, that type of thing. So in general, when you're trying to find a market to invest in, I like to say, go where you have a very strong competitive advantage. And that competitive advantage usually revolves around the people that you know. Very similarly to like kind of creating a community and asking for referrals. It's exactly the same thing when trying to find a market, is where do you know other investors who can introduce you to their team, so that your learning curve is a lot faster and you're not having to go through multiple agents to find the best one, or contractors to find the best one. You're getting like direct source referrals. We launched in September of last year, and we have just over 400 members, and we're really geared toward helping people who live in higher cost of living areas, or just people who can't afford to invest in their backyard, and teaching them how to access more affordable markets across the country. And so we teach people how to pick a market, how to analyze deals, what makes a good deal. We also are very big on introducing people to our own network, our members network. Something that was really big for me when I was starting out was having the support of my Instagram community where I could ask any question I wanted at any time. And people were very willing to kind of provide me with referrals to different contractors and agents and answer all my questions. But I realize that that is such a big blessing that I have, that not everybody has the luxury of building, spending so much time to build an Instagram audience. A lot of people don't want to do that publicly. And so having a forum where people can have, full on education on how to do everything from start to finish in a very actionable way, but also having that community component where you're able to network with other investors who are actively investing across the country, ask them for referrals to different people, and then just be able to ask any questions that come up along the way as you're buying that rental property and figuring out if deals are good deals or how they can sort of navigate different situations. In all different, ranges from agents to lenders to insurance agents, it's really important to have people who are focused on investors in general. I'll just say that as a blanket, because there's a lot of, you'll talk to a lot of insurance agents who are very used to helping homeowners, and it's a very different experience from talking to a company who is specifically geared toward helping investors and understanding how numbers work and understanding how it fits into the larger picture of owning, a whole rental property or a portfolio and how umbrella insurance works. And so I think first and foremost, having, someone geared toward investing is very vital with all your team members, insurance included as well as lenders and other people. But in general, I feel like you're wanting to protect your asset, and that's kind of where insurance comes in, is protection for worst case scenarios. You hope that hail never hits your roof and damages it, but the reality is that in a lot of places there are floods and there are wildfires and things that you need to protect against. And I think this is why you have insurance, because whether you have investors or banks on the properties, you need a way to kind of insure those assets as well. I definitely have passed over the majority of my rental properties to property managers. And that's kind of how, I used to be a self-manager and look through everybody's credit reports and look through everybody's like income sources and call past landlord references to ask about, the quality of the tenant they were. And so I think that if you are in that phase, it's really important to do your due diligence. And I know a lot of people will ask for, for example, for landlord references, but then get scared and never want to actually call the landlord references. And so part of doing due diligence is making sure that you can figure out as much upfront as possible so that you can have the best chance of having the best type of tenant inside your property. But for people who are specifically out of state, I think a really good option is just to hire a property manager. It's typically not super expensive. It's maybe 8 to 10% of your gross rent. But as an out-of-state owner, I'm not driving by my property every day. I don't know if there's a bunch of sticks in my gutters that Google Maps is not showing me. And talking about protecting your asset and trying to preserve the useful life of things for as long as possible, those, having the boots on the ground eyes to kind of look at the property and understand where that deferred maintenance could be coming up, where you can get ahead of it, is also a very important part of just, owning rental properties and keeping them in good shape for your tenants. Well, we're under contract on a boutique hotel, so we're kind of expanding into a new asset class. I'm still buying, the long-term rental, the midterm rental portfolios in the Midwest, but also wanted to find something that kind of pushed myself creatively in an area that's a little bit closer to home. And so for the first time, I may not be only an out-of-state investor. It's in Palm Springs, but I'm really excited to kind of explore a new type of asset class and kind of build a more experiential-based hospitality company as well. Best place to find me is on Instagram. It's lattes.and.leases. Or if you want to hear more about the Academy, you can find out about the Academy on Instagram too at Out of State Investor Academy or outofstateinvestoracademy.com.